Now that you learned some of the basics of the game, it's about time we teach you a shooting system. Involved with that shooting system is learning how to aim properly. And believe it or not, most of your aiming is done before and while you bend over to shoot the shot. And one of the first things we're going to show you here is how to play a little game with yourself called chin lock. Learning to do chin lock is kind of a game you play with yourself. And what it involves is before you even bend over, you must line the chin up in a straight line with the chin, the cue ball, and where you want the cue ball to go, in this case the pocket. Now I'm going to make this look funny. Every pro does this. A lot of them don't even know they do it. But the first thing they do when they walk around and do a shot is lock the chin, and then as they bend over, the body gets out of the way. And if you don't keep your eyes going back and forth, if you just stare at the cue ball, you won't know where that pocket is, and your chin will change its location and no longer will be straight. So it's very important that as you're bending over, the eyes go back and forth, so the first time you get the cue stick up to the ball, you're this close to your target. Now watch again. Here we go. You come over, lock the chin. This has to get out of the way. Keep the eyes going back and forth, so the first time you're up to the ball, you're that straight. Once you are down in position, you can go on to the next two parts of the shooting system. Before we shoot a shot, we have to get two things out of the way. First, we have to make sure the cue is pointing in exactly the direction we want it to. Second, we have to make sure this arm is moving the cue stick perfectly straight back and forth. When amateurs or beginners do it, they don't do those things one at a time. They do it like this. They bend over and they're changing their aim. The cue never stops. They're warming up. They're aiming at the same time. And all of a sudden they shoot, and you can't even tell when they're going to shoot. Sometimes they don't know when they're going to shoot. So it's so important to have a system and do those things one at a time. And here's what I mean. First thing you do is aim. Just stop the cue and move the eyes back and forth. Then take a couple of straight, smooth warm-ups. Remember, when you shoot pool, your job is really not to make the ball. Your final job is to make the cue stick go perfectly straight 4 to 6 inches through the ball. So keep that in mind. It's very important to understand. Back to the system. Take a couple warm-ups and stop and check. If you don't like it, if anything is wrong, fix it and warm up again and stop. The purpose of the stop is to say to yourself, what do you think? Should I shoot? Once you stop and say, I like that, that looks perfect. Now we get to that stroke we talked about earlier. Back, slow, throw the stick 4 to 6 inches directly over the spot. You know, learning this shooting system is the most important part of this tape. All the knowledge of playing the balls off, shooting pool in general, is worthless without a good shooting system. And the best teaching aid I have ever found teaching the game of pool is this spot. Because the spot tells you immediately if the cue stick is going straight or crooked, how far it's going, 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 6 inches. Using the spot to practice is the best thing you can do. When you master the shooting system, master it first shooting no object ball in the hole, just balls off the spot into the pocket until you master having the stick do exactly what it's supposed to do. Then put an object ball down the table. Now what happens when you put an object ball down the table is your target is much smaller. So what people do, people have a much greater tendency to want to steer, make a last second steering of the cue to help the cue ball go where it's supposed to go. So a good test and great practice is to put an object ball down near the pocket and see if when the shot is over, see if the cue stick is straight across the dot like it's supposed to be. And remember, be sure not to move your head during the shot. Very important. The best thing you can do is practice off the spot. Now that you've learned a shooting system, we're going to show you how to use an aiming system. I have the 5-ball set up here, and I have the number turned straight out from the pocket. If I was going to shoot the 5-ball in the side pocket with my cue stick, my brain quickly draws a line from the pocket through the middle of the 5 out this side, and I have to shoot back on that line. And in this case, hitting the number 5 right in the center. When you use the cue ball to make an object ball, the cue ball also has to touch that 5 right in the center. And that's called the point of impact. And no matter what position the cue ball starts in, when it arrives at the 5, it's got to be a straight line in the pocket. Now, straight under the center of this cue ball is where it sits on the cloth. And we're going to call that the point of aim. So, if I have a straight in shot, the point of aim is on the same plane as the point of impact. But as soon as I have an angle on the shot, the point of aim is now not on the same plane as the point of impact. They start separating. And as I bring the cue ball around to this angle, the point of aim is way over here, the point of impact is here. So every shot you shoot is the same. You've got to put the cue ball on this point of aim in order for it to touch the point of impact. The farther you are from that point of aim, the tougher it is to hit it and the tougher the shot is. Some people prefer to think of the point of aim, point of impact system in another way. They think of it as a ghost ball system, whereas when they line up the shot, they picture the cue ball sitting right here and they picture the ghost ball that they have to replace with the cue ball. They both work identical, and whichever one you choose.